What up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls? Want to welcome you to another edition of the Charles Coleman Podcast. I'm your host, Charles Coleman. Super excited to get it cracking on another episode. You know what it is. I got my dream team members to my left, DJ CEO, Mr. Style and Performance, and to my right, the six shooter himself, understated but never underrated, Cashmere Kurt in the building. How y'all feeling?
Good, man. Well, man. Good. How are you?
Man, it's good to see y'all. I can't complain. I had a thought. Today I was like in the barbershop waiting to get a cut, whatever, on my way. And, they had, so my barber, they like to play like you cleaning in the house, Saturday, house cleaning music, right? We all know what that is.
Yeah.
And so he's playing Luther Vandross's Here and Now. And I started thinking, I was like, I've been like, we all about the same age. I've been to no fewer than 8 weddings where that was the song, right? None of those people are still married.
Oh, wow.
Like, I want to know of all the, like, popular songs, like, because, Ordinary People was a thing for a minute.
Was a thing for a minute, yeah.
Like, you have these, they go in waves. I want to know, like, what's the most successful one? Because should that day ever come, or I, like, advise one of my boys, I'd be like, don't pick that shit.
Yeah.
Like, do something else.
Oh, a song that won't age well?
No, not even won't age well. Like, just has a high...
turnover rate?
Yeah, I want to have a high turnover rate. Like, you don't want to do that.
I don't know. It's interesting because
And you're a DJ, so you should know this.
The only wedding that I've been to, and it's not even a DJ capacity, where Here and Now was played and they're still married, is my aunt and uncle. Like, but they're old, they're a little.
That sounds about right.
They're older, they're old school. You know what I'm saying? So it's a little different. That is a good question.
Cause like I just, you know what I'm saying? Like I don't want nobody picking.
I got an answer.
I want to know your answer. I don't have one.
Anything that's current,
don't play.
Don't play. Your relationship is over with.
Well, everything that's current is toxic anyway, so
that's why you can't have it.
Yeah.
So, most successful, in my opinion,
okay.
You and I, Stevie Wonder.
That's always a good one. That's like that. Like that's one of my favorites. Like that's always a good one, right?
So you're saying one to stay away from, or
Yes.
one that they should use?
Yeah. Like what's the highest success rate?
Oh, success rate. I think it has to be something that is not a popular go-to, right? So for mine,
That makes sense. Like Tony Terry's "When I'm With You." Don't do that.
Don't do that.
It's been done like a million times.
So for me, I'm a huge Temptations fan. So at our wedding, I did. We played "For Once in My Life," the Temptations version with Paul Williams, and it's more of a ballad, not the dance one.
Right.
So, but that is like always one of my favorite. Like love songs,
think that is the indication that you're thinking more deeply about it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like you don't want to just do the thing that everybody else is doing, which I think to your credit is it.
You know what it's like? You know what it's tantamount to?
What is it?
It's like when back in the days they do like an after work party, or it could be a late night party, and the name of the party was also always the name of the hottest single out. That's kind of like
hot in here party.
Too close Fridays.
Right.
I'm not coming to that.
Yeah, we're not doing that. Right. So that actually brings me to like, shortcuts. This is our news and views conversations we're not always having. Rap music is in the toilet right now. Sales wise. Like, I mean, music wise, like it's obviously an indication of where the art is. But I'm just wondering, like, does anybody like? This is the first time that you have not seen rap music chart the way that we've been used to seeing it for like decades now at this point. Like literally we haven't seen a rap record this low on the top 100 in forever. Anybody chart like high. Number one, I guess my thing is, what does it say beyond the obvious? Trash, right? Number two, is anybody gonna care? That's really the question I'm going to get to.
Will anybody care? I think the older people will care from a cultural standpoint, right? This was our introduction to monetizing and profiting off a culture that we created. Was the music, right? This is before fashion, before anything. This is how we made money, right? So I think we'll care in that sense. The younger people don't seem to care about much. But I think the main reason why, and it's so wild, I'm having deja vu literally right now, what's the reason why the sales are bad is that you can't think of a point prior to this in hip hop where from a 10-year-old to a 30-year-old, we weren't all in the same boat. Right?
Yeah, no, that's
you know what I'm saying. So
right.
so you got to think about it like when, whether it be any from Dougie Fresh and Slick Rick to Wu-Tang to Biggie, whatever, like everybody was like, this is fire. And you had people with money who were able to support it and finance it, and you had the kids who just kind of supported just as a fan.
Yeah, it is a much greater separation.
Yeah.
Of like the people who are listening and who are listeners, and that makes sense because if you think about where we were just closer in age. You know, in terms of who was consuming the music. But I mean, now, but here's the thing though. The thing that's interesting about that point is that it's not even the younger people who are keeping them off the charts. Because technically speaking, they could bump that music up. Like they could bump those singles up. If they was really with it, like this is the spokesperson for our generation, those records would chart. But they're still not charting. So that says something else even about how, you know, everybody's consuming the art. I mean, when you hear that, Kurt, when you hear like it's not charting the same way, what do you think?
I feel that it's kind of like what CEO said. Once we've created, I'm gonna say it this way, right? To me, hip hop culture has turned into its own currency, right? And we behave and perform in trying to get rich in this new currency. And because we now consider it a currency, I think the activity and the visualization of it has now been corrupted, right? So if you're rich in your culture and that's the new currency, I need to devalue that currency. And I think that happens with the lack of sales, the lack of popularity, the influence and the content of what you're spewing. All of those different things are substantiating why it shouldn't be as valuable and as important.
So it's kind of like the music version of gentrification.
Exactly.
Like you have something valuable. My ability to monetize it from where I am is potentially limited, or your ability to monetize it where you are is just far too great for my personal liking.
Correct.
And so I'm gonna drive the value of it down
so I can buy it.
So I can then own it
and then go back.
That might be the most profound shit
I have never
on this couch I've never thought of.
Facts.
That's an interesting one. Well, that will be. I want to hear what people have to say in the comments about it because that's a real interesting one. But we got to shift gears to a topic that we love to talk about on the Charles Coleman podcast. That's your man.
My man.
Your man.
Okay.
You know him, you love him. Mr. As your mayor, I'm going to tell you that them taking my phones, my emails, and going through my computers is unnecessary. Mr. Outside, man, Eric Adams right now is in. He's teetering onto hot water. Let me be very clear. I want to be very clear. He himself has not been formally as of right now, as of this moment, as of recording this, right? He has not been indicted, nor has he been charged, nor he's been arrested. However, investigators
are looking.
They up there with a microscope, Jack, and so I don't know what.
Stay out the club, they on you.
His aide, one of his campaign aides, looks like she's going down. And the thing about it is, what I can tell you, as a former prosecutor, if there's dirt and she go down, she's telling.
She's singing.
She is telling. Now, the question I have for y'all is, damn. There are people who feel like because Eric Adams is a black man in leadership, we should not air him out. And you know what? If this hits the editing floor, it hits the cutting room floor, and it never makes it, so be it. But I'm just curious. You say nah, why is that?
Because this is not like we can't. there's so much in this world that we have to be conscious of our blackness and try to monitor and control the narrative or whatever. Like, fam, you are the mayor of New York City.
That's right. I'm the mayor. If I go to the French Montana show, I go to the French Montana show.
If you are trash at your job, I'm not saving you because you black. Like, you making my life more difficult because you are bad at your job as a resident of New York City. And let me correct you. That is your man. He's from Queens.
Oh.
That's what we're going to do.
That's what we're doing.
He's from Queens.
He was the Brooklyn Borough president.
I know.
So.
And now that I think about it, he might have spearheaded all that gentrification.
Right. How you let a Queens dude come and be the president of your borough?
What now I say? Queens nigga.
Exactly. Your man, Mr. Outside. They used to call him Man McCheese. Now they call him Man Outside.
Man Outside, like.
Do you feel like he deserved any protection? Extra protection, like from community, like the complexion for the protection?
For what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I get the narrative and I get the position of the question, but it's like, for what? You know, if you out here reckless, you can get it. Anybody can get it. Especially on this couch, like.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
And currently we on the couch. So
right.
I think that
he got to get it.
All jokes aside, I think that I have talked about the way people get done because of the color of their skin. To my knowledge, in terms of everything that we're seeing, this is not that.
Right.
And real talk, if this was, this is excessive because he's a black man in this position, I literally would be the first one to step out and say, maybe there are some things that could have been done differently, but he's getting a bad rap because of who he is and how he shows up. I've done it before, and I would do it again, even for him. And I got a lot of issues with homeboy, but I would. My point is, this
ain't that.
It ain't that.
And so the other thing that people have to realize, because a lot of people, like, even when Bun came on the couch and he was like, yo, I hear you got a pretty cool mayor. That was like an awkward moment.
Yeah.
Because like I didn't really want to detract and get into the politics of it. But from the outside looking in, people think, oh, he outside. Yeah, he's always outside.
Always outside.
Matter of fact, that's his office.
That's where his office is, the club.
I also think that people don't appreciate, and I'll take a quick second to bust it down for the audience. People don't appreciate the fact that he sold. Black people didn't put Eric Adams in office. And if you're not from New York, you wouldn't really know that. Right? There were progressive, so-called or self-branded progressive white people who said, yo, we want to put somebody in office who's going to clean up these streets, be tough on crime, and make me feel safe walking my dog in Brooklyn at 3 a.m., listening to my earbuds and drinking Starbucks. That's what they wanted.
Right.
And he said, I'm gonna do that.
I got you.
His talking points were all super right-wing conservative talking points. He's a former cop. These are facts.
Yeah,
I'm not
these aren't opinions.
Throwing shade on homeboy name. And so I say all of that to say a lot of people's understanding about who he is. Eric Adams has a presence on a very large scale because he goes on Instagram and he be in shots with Dipset. Dipset probably doesn't watch the news, respectfully. So like, and no shade, I love Dipset, but like, I mean,
I wouldn't say they're the most well informed about what's exactly happening.
Probably not, like the different dynamics, right? And so that is where this sort of interesting conundrum applies. I am watching this story. I'm watching this story because for somebody who had all of that whoop-de-wop about crime and getting tough in the city and getting things straight, so on and so forth. Now you got the boys on your ass. How does it feel? Like that's just
they
what it
on
is.
that. They on your ass. He's the dude. He carries himself like he's untouchable. He was the asshole in high school.
He's been flipping about it too.
He's like, yo, what?
I'm the mayor.
He thinks he's Trump, and what he's not doing is paying attention. You see, Trump is getting touched too. Like nobody is untouchable when it comes to the feds.
That's a fact.
Nobody. And he's carried himself like, I could do what I want, I could say what I want. Like, we don't need a cool mayor. We need a good mayor. We need a good mayor. We need somebody who does their job right. Like, I'm not gonna vote for you because you, and I've DJ'd in club and he's pulled up. And people were like, "Oh, Eric Adams, like, why are you not at work? Like, why are you here?"
This is my job.
Word.
I don't need a cool man. I need an
effective man.
Right.
I need
If
a
you
good
cool,
man.
if you cool, that's just like a bonus.
Right.
Like, I was too young to really understand Koch and what he did and what he didn't do and the pros and cons. But like, I know before Koch got here, we was almost bankrupt as a city.
Yeah.
And when he left, we wasn't. But this dude, as a kid, seemed mad cool to me. He was at the Met games,
Yeah,
whatever.
he was
like,
best man.
but no, you just knowing a little bit of history about where the city was and where it turned. Like, that's like, you do your job from a municipal standpoint, and then you get to whatever.
I think, I think the other thing that I'll say is being mayor of New York City is like the most thankless job ever.
I'm sure, yeah.
I'm sure. Like, everything that goes right is because it's New York. That's what everybody says. Like, oh, well, yeah, it's New York City. And then everything that goes wrong is your fault.
Yeah.
So, you know, I do place that sort of caveat. Like, that is, if for people who think that's like the best job, like in pop, nah.
It's like being the head coach of the Knicks.
It's literally like being a head coach. That's exactly what it is. They should have dinner all the time. all the time. Give each other tips on how like not to be so bad at losing. Yeah. But that is going to do it for us, and we are going to roll right into our next conversation. This is one that I have been waiting to drop on y'all. I hope y'all enjoy it. But in the meantime, let us know what you think. Leave it in the comments. And until then, we'll be right back with more of the Charles Coleman Podcast. What up, what up, what up? Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to another edition of the Charles Coleman Podcast Show. We are in the midst of our favorite segment. This is our Black Brilliance Conversations, our conversations with movers and shakers of the culture. And today we have one of the most illuminous hip-hop, legendary, musical, not even hip-hop, musical folks to ever touch a board. I have to give this brother his flowers because a lot of people may not necessarily appreciate the width and the depth and the scope of his work. The discography is nuts. We're talking about everybody from Jay-Z to Nas to Snoop to LL to Lil' Kim to Christina Aguilera, to Janet Jackson, to Kelly Rowland, to Destiny's Child. Like, y'all see where I'm going with this. Like, the list is dumb. And I haven't even gotten to, here's the thing. Here's the best thing. I haven't even gotten to arguably his biggest record that you absolutely go nuts on every time you hear it. But without further ado, we are so thankful to have Rockwilder in the building.
Yeah, what's good, man? What's good?
What's going on, bro?
I'm chilling, man. Everything's good. Can't complain.
Good to have you. So glad we was able to work this out. I want to get right into it. I want to get right into it because I didn't even talk about. It's not your big. Well, let me ask you this. I'll just flat out ask you. When people ask you, or if they've ever asked you, what do you consider your biggest record? Is it the record that got you the Grammy, or the record that everybody just goes bonkers over? And you know which one I'm asking about.
I know, and it's crazy because that's not to me, for hip hop, my biggest record is probably one of the records that people wouldn't even recognize.
Really?
And that's my biggest record. That's my biggest record to me.
What's that?
And that's Everybody's Crazy by Nas. I love that record. Like, I love that record because Nas is the type of person that, when you heard him and you heard his production platform, you heard Pro, you heard Premiere, heard Beat, you heard of the LES. So you never thought that you would ever even cross lines with that dude.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? So when I heard Nas on Everybody's Crazy, and you know what, Nas, and when I read the reviews on Everybody's Crazy, people downplay it. They say that it wasn't, it's aight, you know what I'm saying? Like, and they do that. But to me, that was like a golden moment for me. And I love the track. To me, I love the track. You know what I'm saying?
I think part of it is because It's on the Lost Tapes too, right?
Yeah, it's on the
Lost
Lost.
Tapes too, right? So that was one of those albums that, for a lot of people, got lost in the shuffle in terms of to appreciate it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a super Nas fan, so stuff like the Lost Tapes and the Lost Tapes 2, that's what I wanted, because it was the stuff that in a lot of cases you hadn't heard if you really wasn't following Nas before it was written. Not even Illmatic, before it was written. Like, if you got on Nas in 96, then you can't appreciate all of what the Lost Tapes was about.
Yeah.
Like, all kinds of stuff. And then also there's an element of like mixtape Nas with like Blazer 50, Foul Breeze, Life is Like a Dice Game. Like, a lot of those records, if you're not really like into it, you're gonna miss what he's doing on Lost Tapes too. So I understand that, but it's a surprise to me still that that's your biggest record. Like,
I love, and it was just like the whole method of that song, because when I found out that I was going to be in the studio with Nas, man, I was really trying to just try to do, because, you know, like, I play everything. So, I was really trying to embrace that quality of what he got without really knowing my samples too well. But I was playing it, and there was another one too that was amazing that he was talking about his mom's on one, but that one never got to see the light of day. And then I think they also wanted me to remix Life's a Bitch on the Platinum album. So there's a Rockwilder remix on the Platinum album called Life's a Bitch, but everybody's crazy, man. I play that all the time. Like, I play that like I didn't do it.
I love that. So speaking of playing, I heard a story that when you first started doing what you was doing, when you like really, really first started making it happen, you was doing beats with people and you didn't even have your own board.
I had my Casper had a board. They had, because, you know, an MPC 60 in your early 20s wasn't a machine that you could actually, my mom's wasn't as hip to know exactly what a $3,000 machine was. You know what I'm saying?
Who was at that, like,
So my mom's, you know, thinking she got everybody out the house and everybody should be paying their own rent and everybody should be taking care of themselves. It was going to be hard for me to, and you know what? I wasn't college Yale type person to walk through the thing and say, "Hey, Mom, could I please have an MPC 360?" You know what I'm saying? So, like, I was blessed enough to have friends in the neighborhood. Like, Casper had his, and I, you know, one day I might ask Casper, how did he get his MPC 60? And then I'm going to ask Sage, how did he get his MPC 60? Because they had them. You know what I'm saying? They had them. And the twins, big shout out to DJ Twins, they used to bring their MP60 to the crib. And I knew how they got theirs. You know what I'm saying? They DJing for Redman. You know,
they working with Redman. So
Redman and everything. And then Redman had his. So there was 4 MPCs that I was actually working on that I didn't have. You know what I'm saying? So I think what I did was when I did get my hands on an MPC 60, you know, I worked on it, but I think I was given an MPC 60. I think Red gave me his, and then my mother came up. My mother came up one day. No, I was doing some music, and then I thought that MPC 3000 that just came out, but I bought the 3000. And it was just sitting in the corner in the box. I was still on the 60, right? I was still on the 60. And then one day I picked up the 3000. And once I picked up the 3000,
it was over.
But Casper, I used to do work on Casper's machine. I used to do work on Sage's machine. He was in the neighborhood. Jeff and Steve, my boys, one worked in a drugstore, one worked in the record shop, and it was right next to each other. They bought an MPC. And I used to do tracks for Chinese food.
Really?
Yep. People used to ask me to do music, and I'd be like, "Yo, man, if you give me some Chinese food, I'm definitely there." You know what I'm saying? And I would do music for Chinese food. It was crazy. Like,
that's wild. So let me get this straight. You're using other people's MPs, and you keeping the discs? or like you know what I'm saying, like in between making stuff? How do you?
Yeah, I'm doing beats and I'm just giving them their machine back. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think on Sage Machine, I did Welcome. I did Welcome. I did some joints for E. I was doing a lot of early joints for E when E wasn't doing like E, because Eric was so busy. He wasn't doing like everybody. So I would take like the joints that he wasn't doing. So there was a lot of hip hop, like the Cellar Dwellers and everything. I think I did the machine. Like I was just using people's machine and making money on it and then giving it back to them. I think that was I mean, my mentality should have been a little better, because as I'm using your machine, I should give you something for using the machine. But we was just all just having fun and driving in the car, playing beats. We didn't know.
So now I gotta ask, if you didn't have your own machine, how did you learn? Like, how did you learn how to actually?
Oh man, so all right. So back when I have an amazing history of how that started, because I was doing pause tapes with my boy Tyreek, and Damon, who lived around the corner, Damon Hall, who lived around the corner with my boy Shake and Khalik and Mom at the house. You know, I would bring those pause tapes to them. And, you know, it was just us on the SK5 speeding up the sample and then, you know, playing it on a lower key and then playing some jazz to it. And I had a record player that had a tape deck on the side of it. So it was just weird stuff that we was doing to try to make everything work together. And I brought the tape to Damian Hall one day, and Damian Hall said, "Yo, man, Rock is like, you know, he's nice. You know what I'm saying? He's nice. You need to, you know what I'm saying?" So Shake brought me to Mike Orgal, and Mike Orgal brought me to Teddy Riley. Now, I remember Teddy Riley being up in Harlem, and he had this purple MPV that everybody loved. They had a big system in it. And he heard some of my stuff. And that's when I met Xan the Man. And, you know, Xan the Man, if you listen to Rex and Effect, he says, "I got Keith Sweat, Charles Gruber, and my man Bobby Brown. I got Xan the Man, Redhead, Boy George," you know what I'm saying? So Xan the Man was actually an artist and a songwriter who wrote songs for Teddy Riley. He wrote My Fantasy. He wrote a few other joints that Teddy Riley, he was a really big songwriter. So what's crazy about that is the day I met Xan, I went out to his house the next day, or probably like a few days later, and I stayed in his basement. This is a guy I just met, just stayed in his basement, and he taught me the MP. He was the one that taught me the MPC. You know what I'm saying? And he taught me how to use the MPC. He taught me production. Like, he did a lot of things that, you know, somebody wouldn't do that just meet somebody. You know what I'm saying? So he was really an instrumental part of my growth and my build up towards like really learning the machine, because I had the ideas because I was already pausing the tapes and everything. Right. But putting that machine just brought it all together. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know,
it lets you do what you do.
Yeah, you got pads of sampling, 3.5 seconds, pads of sampling. You know what I'm saying? You know? Until you got to like 18 seconds, and then you assed out or something like that. You know?
So I want to go to the record I've been dancing around about. There's a lot of records I want to talk about, but this one I really want to get into. Mm-hmm. The Rockwilder.
Oh, man.
The Rockwilder. I need to understand, because I've heard some interesting stuff about the fact that Red did not necessarily want to get on the record at first.
It wasn't. All right. So I as I do this interview and as I keep asking about this, I want to give a clear understanding of what it was.
All right, now let me know from the beginning. Tell us the story.
Red is the funk. Red is the funk. He is the funk. If it ain't Parliament, if it ain't Zap, if it ain't funk, he just ain't. You know what I'm saying? So I would say that the Rockwilder, the presentation of Rockwilder was probably like a little too new for what he usually does, because he's so into what he does. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know, like I'll Be That. He loves I'll Be That. You know what I'm saying? Like he loves that beat. That shit is like boom, 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 boom. That's it. You know what I'm saying? A bass line, kicking a snare. You know what I'm saying? And probably like a bongo. That Red loves that. He loves that. The Rockwilder probably was, but he made me do the Rockwilder though. He made me do it because originally I had a track. All right, Red and Meth was doing an album. It was supposed to be RZA do one side, Eric do one side. That's how it was told to me. Oh, they doing an album, we putting the album together, we're gonna have Eric do one side, RZA do one side. Okay, so technically you ain't doing shit on that album. You're banned from that album. So now found out Scratch did a joint on the album. Like, oh shit, Scratch got one on the album? So they are accepting tracks from other people on the album. All right. Here I am already fresh in. I done did Muddy Waters. I done did Dance.
You in with Def Squad.
You in with Def Squad. I'm doing, I did the joint. I did a lot of joints. So now here I am just trying to be thinking, all right, if I had to get on Red and Meth's album, what would I do to really solidify my place on this album amongst this dope ass scratch beat that Scratch gave him? Was crazy. And so I said, okay, Def Jam, Redman, Run DMC, let me redo Sucker MCs. So here I am. I did I made the kick harder, made the clap harder, everything. All right. So I said, okay, Red's gonna do 2 years ago, friend of mine. Meth do. I'm MEF in the place to be. I go to some university. You know what I'm saying? I'm thinking I'm Pharrelling it. I'm trying to get my Pharrell on, right? So I pick up Boogie. I just did the beat. Pick up Boogie. We jamming all day. Boogie with me all day. We jamming. We playing the beat. So here's about time. We about to go see Red up at Branson's. We go up to Branson, and Red gets in the back of the car, play the beat. So Red in the back, he listening to the beat. Here I am. You know Red, he listens, he hears what he want to hear. He like, so me and Boogie in the car now. Boogie don't know what Red's reaction is going to be, so Boogie got his face in the front, and he's just like this. Because he don't know what Red gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Right. So he's like this. So Red said, it's cool. You know what I'm saying? So then I'm like, nah, man, come on, listen. You do Run's part. We in the truck. This is how the truck. And I'm like, yo, you do Run's part. Meth do DMC's part. He like, mm-hmm. I think the idea would have been dope to me.
I do too, which is why I'm like, I'm on the edge of my seat. Yeah, and I'm like, wait. They was about to redo Suck MC's Red and Meth. Like, that would have been nuts.
Nuts. You know what I'm saying? Nuts. So he's in the back like, it's cool. And then I think he said, because now he's talking to me and he's talking to Boogie. So he like, so Rock, okay, Rock, you want me to do it? So he, ran his stupid faces. Now he got Boogie laughing. So Boogie is sitting there like laughing with him and everything. So I'm like, okay. Since he done took the vibe out the window, I'm still bopping my head trying to. So he's like, come on, Rock, what you want? You just want me to rap over everything? And I said, I turned it off. I was just like, all right. So, matter of fact, I didn't even smoke his weed. I let him roll that weed and let him hold that weed. You know what I'm saying? I was just like,
he was a little tight.
Yeah, whatever. You know what I'm saying? Yo? So now we in the car. Yo, dude, I'm not even playing the beat no more. I'm just in the car like this. Look.
Yeah, just driving like
in the car. So then I drop Boogie off, get out of the car. Like, I'm in my mind. I'm like, you traitor. You know what I'm saying?
Right, you left me out there. You
was supposed to sell this with me. You know what I'm saying? He get out the car. He high. He get out the car. So, but I go in the house and I don't know, man. I had enough of the night because I tried to sell that early. I was trying to sell that track at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. So when I got to see Red and I left Red, when I got in that house, I was like, it was like, I had to say 10, 11.
So you had plenty of night left.
It was just like I went into a straight meditated zombie, like thing.
Laser focus.
Yeah, laser focus. You know what I'm saying? I had 2 bags of weed that I got, so I put the bags of weed at the edge of my mother's thing. My mother had a church in the basement. I couldn't, you know what I'm saying? I couldn't, so I said to smoke out the attic. I was an addict. So, and I sat there, and from top to bottom, probably one of the most, how do you say it? Like, that was the track that from top to bottom, I said intro, noises, build up. I had an XP50 at that time. At that time when it was my shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, you was fully
MPC 3000, rolling XP50, a Triton TR rack. I was ready. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, like it was like really my feeling at that time in that track.
Wow.
It was like everything, emotion, the idea, just the fact of like, you know what I'm saying? I was feeling a little way because Reservoir Dogs, I didn't get the credit for Reservoir Dogs. So it was just a lot of things that I had in me that time. And I was just feeling like, okay, I'm not getting my chance to really like be a lot of, cause I know Swiss a lot of times when he produced, I know he was telling DMX like, yo, this is what we need to do and blah, blah, blah. And and everybody who was producing probably had a chance to really get their idea off of what they needed. So I was feeling like at that time, let me just fill the beat up to where I don't need to pitch a beat no more. This is going to be a beat that it's going to sell itself. It's going to be my anger and everything in it. But it was just like, it was one of the most emotional tracks I ever produced, I could say. You know what I'm saying? Not my favorite because of what I had to do to get it, but to get that energy. But like they say in the books, when your back's against the wall and you let it out, your phoenix comes out. It's the phoenix. I was burning now, you know what I'm saying? So, and it just so happens that we brought it to the studio. Falayan was there. Meth was there. Red wasn't there yet. Played it for Meth. He went ballistic. Like, he just went ballistic. He caught it as soon as the first note hit. Falayan loved it. You know what I'm saying? Falayan was like, yo, you gotta do this, you gotta do this. And then I left the studio for some reason, I don't know what it was, and then Twins went to the studio. And then when I got Twins studio, Rich and Ray, they told me, they said, yo, Red ain't like that. Red wasn't popping, like he wasn't moving off of it. He wasn't moving off of it. I said, for real? He said, yo, he really wasn't moving off it. He wasn't moved off it. He wasn't moved off it. Named it the Rockwilder. Meth named it the Rockwilder. Meth named it. You know what I'm saying? Meth was the one who named the song the Rockwilder. But Red, in all fairness, did like it somewhere down the line because he was like, oh my God, at the beginning, the traditional oh my God at the beginning of the track.
Yeah.
It worked.
So Meth gets on, you leave the studio.
I don't even know they get on. It's just about them liking the track.
Okay, so at what point does Red like do a 180 and decide, all right, I'm gonna get on?
Electric Lady, I think, was where the vocals was done. And to top it off, Meth wasn't supposed to start when the beat was building. He was supposed to start when the beat dropped.
Wow.
But then when the beat was coming on, he said, microphone checker, swinging for Alexa. So to me, and whoever was in the studio with me, I don't know if it was Rich or was it Eddie. It was one of my boys in the studio. And to us, it didn't sound right because he started there, because I didn't want him to start wrong. I'm over here thinking you were supposed to start on the beat. So I said, Meth, you were supposed to start when the beat dropped. He said, well, I wrote it like this. And then I don't know who was in the studio, Eddie or Richie. And they was just like, but that's just how hot rock. Like him starting right there. You know what I'm saying? It's like he's getting it ready. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Listening to it now, I'm just like, I can't imagine it a different way. I'll say it
Yeah.
Now, I can't even imagine it a different way.
Yes. And in the burials of Electric Lady Files, there's actually a second verse.
I've heard.
Red has a second verse.
I've heard that.
Meth said he didn't lay his verse, but Red has a second verse.
I've heard that there is a second verse.
Yeah, there's a second verse. But la 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 ended the song perfectly. And also to the blessing of it being so short, people wanted to hear it again and again and again and again.
Yeah, that's one of the things about the record is that it can be played over and over and over again. Like
yeah.
That's so wild.
It worked well for what it was to hip hop.
Not only did it work well, but apparently as the story goes, I understand, apparently a certain member of the Jackson family decided once they heard it, who's that guy?
Yeah.
Tell that story because that's crazy.
That's a moment. That's really a moment because my brother, being the Janet Jackson fan that he was actually living in the house. My brother Dale, and we used to always in the mornings we always fucking around until we had to do. So my brother had Janet Jackson posted all around his wall. So I told him, I said, well, I'm gonna work with her one day, and he was like, word? I said, yeah, I'm gonna work with her one day. And wow. I went upstairs, I did some production for Janet, as if I knew her. I was just working the joints and I put them in the stash. I said, okay, when we get a chance, if Janet ever calls, I'm gonna do this. So just so happens.
Really? That's wild.
That's happened. And
that's wild.
And then my manager at that time was James Ellis, and he called me and he said, yo, man, are you driving? I said, yeah. He said, yo, you need to pull over because this is crazy. And he told me the story. He said, somebody called him by the name of Lindsay and said, listen, I don't know you and you don't know me, but Janet is looking for Rockwilder and he needs to call her at a certain time. I called her. We had a conversation concerning how much she loved the Rockwilder. You know what I'm saying? She loved that song. She said it made her dance. It just made her keep dancing, and she was asking me what I was doing. And I told her, I said, I'm working, but, whatever you need me to do, I'm down. So she flew me out.
That's the right answer. When Janet Jackson asks what you were doing, the answer is, I'm doing whatever you need me to do. That's the right answer.
Yeah, and then I'm sitting there this is Penny. This is Charlene when she kissed Todd Bridges. You know what I'm saying? Come on, man. Anything you want me to do, I'm doing it. So we came out, and that's how that happened. Worked on an amazing album, All For You, me, her, Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis. Amazing, man. I got some blessed moments in my career, man.
Listen, there's so many. I mean, your work is so expansive, and I think one of the things that people may not necessarily always appreciate is you're not the producer, and this is no shade to nobody. Everybody's different. This is no shade to nobody, right? Mm-hmm. But you're not the producer who's dropping their tag at the beginning of every beat that they do. You're not the producer that's necessarily looking to be profiled at the same level as the artist. You have very much so, and I understand that he's a big influence of yours. You're very much so the Quincy Jones effect, as I see it, in terms of create space and music for people to be themselves and be better at what it is that they do. And that's really a different type of producing than what we see in hip hop. It's no shade to anybody, but I see a lot of producers who kind of sort of also want to be celebrities. And it doesn't seem like that's really your lane. It seems like your lane is I want to make songs and make music and provide space for artists to create art even better than what it is that they had been doing before I worked with them.
Yeah, I have a slight friendship envy for Pharrell because Pharrell gets a chance to really everything that you said. I feel like Pharrell gets a chance to really people who work with him get in his vibe. And they become him. They become what he wants. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I wish that I had the magic that he had when it came to that. Because every producer wants their vision to be interpreted through the artist. Yep. And they want the artist to hear it and comply to it. Really do it. If me and Red would have been on that note a lot, you would have heard a lot of music from us. And truthfully, if I go through this computer right now, there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of tracks that will never see the light of day. Unless Red says, let's drop this, let's drop this, let's drop this, let's drop this. And you will hear me and this dude really be in like a Swiss Beats, DMX, Just Blaze, Kanye, Jay. Like you'll see a vibe. You will hear an incredible vibe when it comes to me and Red. You would hear what it really was about. You know what I'm saying? That anthology. You would definitely hear it. The person who I relate completely to when it comes to that is Busta and Beyonce.
Tell me about, because I wanted to get into this. Tell me about your process when it comes to Busta. Like,
oh man, Busta is.
How's that work?
You have to find the dumbest head knock. Like I vibed with Busta. All right, when I met Busta, I met Busta just through Shape. You know what I'm saying? My friend from around the way. He was one of the best dancers. He danced for God. And we used to go to the Q Club a lot. Busta used to go to the Q Club, and I met Busta. So when me and Busta started vibing, and this is a crazy moment too, because when me and Busta started vibing, Busta had just got put on to Dilla.
And I know Dilla's one of your absolute favorites.
Dilla is a guy that I share a special moment with too, because when I met him, I said, yo, you ill. And he was like, nah, you ill. And we took a picture together. I don't know where this picture's at, but we were actually on the road because I used to be a hype man for Red. So we was actually in the same spot at one time and we had that conversation. Then I heard that Dilla was really like a person that liked my stuff. And I was just like, word. And then there's a documentary where he actually was doing an album and he was going to put Dr. Dre, Pete Rock, and he said another name. He said High Tech, and he said my name on it. He said Rockwilder. And
that would have been so insane.
Yeah, insane.
So
insane, but a Dilla album. You know what I'm saying?
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So
that would have been so nuts.
Oh man, dude! But somebody told me that, and when he said my name, man, I just was like, oh man, that's like, Dilla. But Busta had just got the Dilla tape, and he had on this tape he had Stakes Is High, instrumental. He had just did it. He had what did he have? He had some other beats on there that he man. What other beat? No, honestly, there was other beats from there, but that Stakes Is High beat, when that Stakes Is High beat came, Busta was in the car. Now, when you look at the beginning of Everything Remains Raw, Busta in the car, they used to really drive through the hood.
I've seen it. So real quick story. Growing up, I lived in the same building as Large Professor.
Yeah.
So everybody was coming through, and the way the building was, it was a hill down and then like a circular driveway in front of the building. So there was before the Samurai, there was the Suzuki Amigo. And Busta and a couple other folks would like come through in a little Suzuki Amigo to come see Large Professor, and they would be in there just like that. So when I saw the video of Everything Remains Raw in the beginning, I was like, nah, that's how they be. Like,
they be.
Real life, that's how they be.
Yes. So I met him that time, and from there, like something in my tracks that I do always has something that is a thing that attracts Busta. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like the track I did for One, with him and Erykah Badu, that attracted him because it was weird. You know what I'm saying? So I carried a lot of those in my stash that he liked. He just loved those weird type sounding joints. So when I do stuff for him, it's always the beat that's just like Czar is
Czar is very like
yeah, so aggressive, dumb, the horn doing something crazy. Like just the one that I just gave him just now, it might be the first single for his next album. It's crazy too. It's called Zilla God.
I can't even imagine what that sounds like.
And oh my God, it just knocks down buildings running through. It just goes down 42nd Street and just pushes buildings down. It just
I believe it.
Yeah, and it's just his horn. It's just a straight horn that just keeps playing, but it's crazy. But so me and him, I share like dope moments with him like that, because if I'm trying to get an idea across, either he doesn't like it 100% or he loves it 100%. Gotcha. Beyonce, you could hit on the table, and if that beat sounds like it's something, she'll start singing to it right away. Jay is dope too. If you get down Jay's lane, it's dope. It's dope too. You know what I'm saying?
I want to switch gears for a second because I want to talk about another record that like a lot of people love and know, but don't necessarily appreciate the fact that you are responsible for it.
Mm-hmm.
You got Missy, you got Pink,
yeah,
you got Christina Aguilera, you got Lady Marmalade. I heard that unlike a lot of times, a lot of people don't know this, but just, folks may not know, a lot of times when artists record together, they don't actually record together. Somebody's in the studio, they lay their verse. They may not even be in the same city or same state. Yeah. They might send the track, somebody does their verse, and then whatever. But from what I understand, everybody was in the studio together. Is that right?
Everybody was in the studio together for the beginning of the idea.
Okay.
Yeah. And then everybody had their separate schedules.
Okay.
So Christina had a day, Pink had a day, Maya had a day, Little Kim had a day, and then Missy was just like the overall perspective of it. Ron Fair, which is a very important component in Lady Marmalade, was probably one of the most incredible vocal producers, and his genius of how he put this together. Like, it was one of the most amazing experiences to see him work with each artist each day and then get the best vocals out of them in takes, 100 takes, like seriously, of the best vocals, sometimes the same vocal a few times, and then putting them on a keyboard and having a Christina keyboard, a Maya keyboard, a Pink keyboard, and each tape had first tape, might use, second tape, will use, second tape, sounds good, third tape, such and such, all on one keyboard. So when you hear a lot of the end of it, when it says Christina, and when you hear a lot of the vocals in the song, he's actually taking those vocals from the keys that he sampled their vocals from takes.
When you do that many takes, how do you, because I know you had to have a number of them that you were like, this is it. Like, how do you know when you've got it? Out of 100? We're talking about Pink, Christina Aguilera, Maya, like.
Dude, I didn't know nothing. That's when I knew that vocals are a different bitch when I saw it. When I saw that level of technique from Ron Fair, when he did that I treated Lady Marmalade sessions a whole different way, because there were musicians, there were vocal producers. Well, he was just getting the best vocals. Like I was looking at him like, Christina's gonna do a better vocal than that. Like that's
right. Yeah, like
and
you're already blown away.
Yeah. Let me get another tape. 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 Of professional, Maya's sultry, professional takes. Just takes. So when you hear the part that I always bug out off when it says Little Kim, and it says, hey, He's actually pressing the keys. So it's not her saying, hey.
Okay.
He's actually, hey, Maya, Rockwilder. So he put those ad libs in there.
Wow. So
yeah, Ron Fair.
That's the record. Correct me if I'm wrong. That's the record that gets you the Grammy, right?
It gets me the Grammy for Best Vocal Collabo. I didn't consider myself a Grammy Award winner from that record, but they said if there was no track to sing over, then there wouldn't have been no vocal collabo. So you are considered a Grammy Award winner from that. But I also won a Grammy from Love Me Now remix that actually stayed on the Beanie Man album.
Yep.
Art and Life. I won a Grammy for that. And there's also nominations, but I think those are the two that I actually won a Grammy for.
Man, this has been so phenomenal, so incredible. I got like two more questions. Man, there's so much we can talk about because this is amazing in terms of the wealth and breadth of folks you've worked with. Obviously, anything Beyonce is going to be a conversation for people. And I understand that she's arguably the biggest star in the world. Or at least easily one of them, if not the biggest.
I say the.
Nevertheless, I want to broaden it just a little bit. A lot of people may not appreciate this or know this. You had a major role in getting the Destiny's Fulfilled album from Destiny's Child to happen in terms of like putting them back together, not in a like beef sort of way, but just putting them back together. You had a major role in that, and I'm not gonna let you not claim that. Like,
I'm not claiming. I mean, I think what happened is that me and Rashid.
Shout out Rashid, who helped put me together with Rock. Shout out with Rashid.
My dirty from just Red. Rashid is just like, you know, Rashid knows the passcodes to all my computers just in case I die. Like, he's gonna be the one that released my music. Like, me and Rashid is different. We're different when it comes to friendship. But we know Beyonce. We met them when we did the Bootylicious remix.
Right.
You know, our little sisters. They were like, you know, it was our little sisters because they're young. You know what I'm saying? So we embraced them as little sisters. Tina, Mama Tina. You know what I'm saying? Pop knows. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was family. You know what I'm saying? And I was blessed to one day go to see them at the hotel with Michelle and everybody because we used to go and chill with them and chill with Angela, which I was actually in love with Angela, the cousin. You know what I'm saying? I still love her now. But Beyonce was going into the studio to come up with the idea for Destiny's Child, the last album. And it was going to be, you know, something that she was trying as far as like the studio, having the mics outside of the studio now, not in the control room, having the mics outside. It was a whole thing that Beyonce, I would have to say that Beyonce was 100% responsible for the idea of what Destiny was. I hold no credit towards it. The only thing that I hold towards it is that the first two songs that were taken for the Destiny Fulfilled album was the songs that I did. Big shout to Big Draws, big shout to Randy Parker. You know what I'm saying? It was the songs that I did that were the first two songs that were on the album. And that was If and Free.
I knew If was one of them. I can't remember which one.
It was If and it was Free. You know what I'm saying? So that's the only thing I hold for that album. I don't hold no other credit.
But when you started it, I understand the story is that like you started playing the record and they just like started recording then and there.
Oh yeah, they started recording, but the synergy of what that was supposed to happen with that was Beyonce, 100%. It was Beyonce, 100,000 million to a million percent. You know what I'm saying? Because back with the girls, the studio vibe was, we're not going to put ourselves in the control room to separate the energy. We're going to put the mics outside the control room and put us next to each other. And that's how we're going to actually do these vocals. We're doing these vocals next to each other.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it was definitely an amazing technique that she was using. I hold no credit for that. I mean, you know, the fact that they took two of my songs at the beginning is a great thing to say. I started off the album. Yeah, but that's the only thing I'm holding towards that.
I'm mad. I'm not.
And what's dope about those two songs, and I tell this story all the time. I remember going to a Grammy party and Beyonce said, "Rock, come in, you won't believe this." And I said, "What's up?" She said, "Do you know that when we did the show in Atlanta, Prince came to that show?" And Prince said that he came to the show to hear his records, his favorite records that were on the album, which were If and Free. I hold that moment.
As you should.
And I hold that moment. So I want to do a book called, and I hope I get a chance to get this book out, God's Willing I Live, called The Rockwilder, 30 Years in the Moment. From 2020 to 1992 to 2022, I share some magical moments.
But the problem with that is that, like, my man, you about to drop something with Busta, soon. Like, your moments is still going. That's the problem. Your moments is still going.
My moment with Busta is solidified. Even if we chose to do more, it's still solidified as him being such a fan of my music, as he tells me all the time, and me being a fan of him as an iconic artist. You know what I'm saying? All right, let go of the fact that I could go to the studio, he'll let me in, we'll listen to beats all night, and then we'll go party and get drunk and party all night till like 5 a.m, as you know Busta to do. You know what I'm saying? But the fact that, and I tell Redman this a lot of times, and I tell Jay this, but I don't tell Jay this, but I have this with Jay. But these are icons.
Yeah, of course. You know what I'm saying?
These are icons. Like, somebody just showed me a reel in the Brooklyn Museum, and it's my reel of For My Thugs that I did for Jay-Z. You know what I'm saying? And then you got the Life and Times of Sean Carter. You got the Black album. You know what I'm saying? And then you got, you know.
There's there's so many different icons that you work with. I mean, we're talking about hip hop.
Yeah.
We've already talked about
50 years, and I'm giving you.
We started with Nas. We didn't really get into 50.
50.
We didn't get into Snoop.
Pun.
We didn't get into Pun. Like, you have, 2 tracks on Capital Punishment?
I have 2 tracks on Capital Punishment.
2 tracks on Capital Punishment, which, because of Pun's career, is always going to be his seminal work.
Yeah.
Like, so your record in terms of your history and resume with icons is I got one, and to that point, I got one more question before we get out of here. Because this has been fantastic, and
thank you, sir. Thank you.
Such a rich conversation, and I'm not surprised, but I am very appreciative. We do this thing on the Charles Coleman podcast called Life or Death Hip Hop Karaoke. So the way this works is, you get a phone call and it's Rashid, and somebody got Rashid, and they tell you come to a place, you come to the place, they say, look, we got your man, but we're going to give you a chance to get him free. You have one hip hop song that you did not do. It's a record you didn't do, right? That you have to know from start to finish, every single word right. If you get every word right, we're going to let your man go. If you mess up a word, he's out of here. What do you choose? Hip hop karaoke, like
all the verses, like
it doesn't have to be multiple verses in the song, but if you choose a song that has multiple verses, you got to get every verse right. Can't be something you did.
Who the hell is this? Paging me at 5:46 in the morning, crack of dawn, and now I'm yawning. Wipe the coal out my eye. Paging me, and why? It's my man Pop from the barbershop. Told me he was in the gambling shop and heard the intricate plot. Niggas want to stick me like fly paper, neighbor. Slow down, love trees till drop the caper. Remember
them niggas on the hill up in Brownsville that you rolled dice with?
Nuts and got nice with. Yeah, my nigga Fame up in Prospect. Nah, that's my nigga Not Love with disrespect.
I didn't say them. He schooled me to some niggas that you knew from Black When you niggas. Now they heard you blowing up like nitro.
Now they want to stick the knife through the windpipe slow. So thank you for warning me, because now I wanted you. I got the Mac, nigga. Tell me what you want to do. Damn.
Well done. Well done. Well done.
All right.
Rashid lives to see another day.
Thank you, Biggie. Thank you, Biggie, for that amazing fucking verse, because that verse is
ridiculous. And you got it. And
I got it.
This has been so phenomenal, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your art.
Thank you.
Thank you for your dedication to what it is that you do. Your music has done so much for so many, and it has given us truly anthems.
Wow.
And it's been an anthology of culture. Like the number of places that you have touched, the number of times and platforms that you have built with your art that have allowed other people to use language and voice and pitch and tone and sound to touch people. That shit is such a gift, bro. And so on behalf of true fans like myself, fans of the culture, people who believe in the culture, thank you so much. This has been a great conversation. The Rockwilder, the legend on the Charles Coleman podcast. That's what we do here on our Black Brothers branded conversations. Stay tuned for more. We got more stuff coming up on the Charles Coleman podcast. We'll be right back. Peace.